everyone, good morning. First wish would be of morning. Okay, I have just woke up at 11 o'clock, so it makes me morning. Done. So we have started up with cyclones, right? Given an introduction regarding with it. And yesterday I have also given you the structure of the DM, disaster management, right? So in any course, if you see the past question papers of mains, 90% chances are there, they are not going to ask a question on what is this, what is so and so. They are going to ask, if this is going to happen, what is the consequence and how you are going to tackle that particular consequence. Okay. So now we shall start up and go deeper into cyclone. Yesterday I was saying some definition related with cyclone, right? What was it? Cyclone is a atmospheric disturbance which is a closed air circulation having closed isobars, closed air circulation, closed isobars, what else? Inward movement of wind in anti-clockwise direction in northern hemisphere, clockwise direction in southern hemisphere. Why anti-clockwise in northern hemisphere? Due to Coriolis force. What is Coriolis force? Force which is created because of rotation of earth. So what impacts Coriolis force would be creating? Very good, deflection of wind. What else? On cyclones, sniper bullets, moving aeroplanes, jet planes, we shall be having the deflection and we shall be having the influence. Okay. So in this regard of consideration, the closed isobar and the closed air circulation which is coupled with Coriolis force will be giving us this particular circular motion of wind, and this circular motion of wind wherever we would be having, that we are naming it as cyclone. That we are naming it as cyclone. Got this point? Clear everyone? Now, as I have discussed, there are two types of cyclones. Yes or no? Two types of cyclones. What are they? Tropical and temperate cyclones. What is the area where tropical cyclone originates? 8 to 20. Temperate? 35 to 45. It doesn't mean that cyclones would be moving in the zone of 8 to 20 itself. They may go beyond 8 to 20. Okay. They may go beyond 8 to 20. They may go beyond 35 to 45. But its origin point is 35 to 45. In between that zone, it would be originating. Got this point, everyone? One more point. There are many satisfactory aspects which makes a cyclone to be formed. It is not like one particular incident has took place, one particular factor has influenced and the cyclone has been formed. There are some prerequisite conditions, pre-ideal conditions on basis of which tropical cyclone would be originated. If you see, while I was discussing about temperature inversion, I have said you three basic ideal conditions. What were they? Longer nights, clear skies, stable air. These are the three conditions because of which temperature inversion happens, right? So, last time I was checking one paper on temperature inversion. Just as I baitha tha, I was checking the paper. Name I did not see wantedly because like wo impression will continue the same until last extent. So he was writing like ideal conditions for formation of temperature inversion. वो longer nights नहीं लिखे थे. He has written late nights. Bhai, are you understanding what is longer night? Amount of the 24 hour, if 14 hour, 13 hour, if we have a night, that is longer night. What do you mean by late night? 11, 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the night is late night. So late night and longer night have huge difference. So gel हो सकता है, like I did not wantedly speak with that particular person. Reason behind it is, in course of anxiety he might have written it, like he know everything about temperature inversion. वो longer night की जगह I hope late night might have come into picture, but be careful while writing such kind of stuff. You may not recognize that mistake, but the other person who will see the copy, he will 100% recognize the mistake. Okay. In that regard, cyclone also have some prerequisite conditions, ideal conditions for cyclone formation, ideal conditions for cyclone formation. This is very, very important. Whenever you write any answer related with the tropical cyclone, any answer, please do mention these 5 points which I am giving you now. Okay. So I'll take you into details of this. First one is, tropical cyclones are generally formed on sea surfaces. That's why sea surface temperature should be above 27 degrees centigrade, above 27 degrees centigrade. Sea surface temperatures which are there, they should be above 27 degrees centigrade. Point number 1. Point number 2. Presence of Coriolis force. Presence of Coriolis force. Second prerequisite condition. Third one, pre-existing low pressure. Pre-existing low pressure condition. Okay. Pre-existing low pressure condition. Pre-existing low pressure condition. Third one. Fourth one, upper air divergence. Upper air divergence. Okay. Fifth one, low wind shear. Low wind shear. These are the 5 prerequisite conditions. These are the 5 prerequisite conditions with which cyclonic formation happens. Cyclonic formation happens. Now, let's take first prerequisite condition, that is sea surface temperature should be more than 27 degrees centigrade. 27 degrees centigrade. Why? What is the reason behind it is? Like generally cyclones, exclusively tropical cyclones which originate, they would originate on the water body. Okay. And these particular water bodies will have the warmness only after the temperature which is reaching post 27 or 27 degrees, more than 27 degrees centigrade. Whenever there would be the temperature of sea body, then there shall be evaporation. Do remember this point very keenly. Generally, there is no necessity that temperatures, evaporation should happen at 27 degree. But if you see, when we boil the water in a bowl, it's not necessary that the bowl starts only giving the water vapor after reaching the boiling point. What is the boiling point of temperature? How much? 100 degrees Celsius. You remember this one, at least I am very thankful to you. You know? So 100 degree centigrade is a boiling point, but not exactly 100 degree. It is 98.7. But according to the Kelvin scale and Celsius scale, we put it as 100. 100 is actual answer which you have to pick up, but exactly it is 98.67 range where actually the boiling point starts. But it doesn't mean that water will only evaporate once they reach boiling point. Water starts evaporating from the initial stages. So what is the initial point of temperature where water slowly starts evaporating? The initial point of temperature is 27 degree. So once we have the temperature of 27 degree on the ocean or any sea body, slowly evaporation starts from the sea. So this evaporation which would be starting, it tends to make an ascending air column wherever temperatures would be bit high, there we shall have ascending air column, and in this particular zones, due to that particular temperatures, we shall have low pressure conditions which would be developed. So while I was discussing about the concept of evaporation with you, fast moving winds, high temperature, low pressure zones will be having the aspect of evaporation. Hope you remember this. Evaporation can be seen at high temperature zones, evaporation can be seen at low pressure zones, evaporation can be seen at fast moving winds, right. So in this zone, evaporation starts, and due to this particular evaporation, we shall have cloud formation initially, yes or no. So when we have cloud formation, this cloud formation will release latent heat of condensation, right. Already we have discussed these particular concepts, yes or no, yes or no, everyone. So this latent heat of condensation which is present, this is the actual driving force. This latent heat of condensation is the actual driving force for the tropical cyclone, because the heat which is released under latent heat of condensation, that heat makes more and more cloud formation to happen. So that more and more cloud formations which generally happen, that results into a closed air circulation format, which results into heavy precipitations due to tropical cyclones. Whenever tropical cyclone comes into your mind, only thing which we have to come into your mind is very heavy rainfalls. The first thing which comes into your mind is very heavy rainfall, very heavy rainfall. Got this point? Very heavy rainfall. And latent heat of condensation is being occurred because of the sea surface temperature which is present more than 27 degrees centigrade. If sea surface temperatures are not 27 degrees centigrade, then that doesn't make any sense actually. So there shall not be any evaporation, no low pressure, no latent heat of condensation, no cyclonic formation. So sea surface temperatures are, when they are more than 27 degrees centigrade, then chances are there cyclones would be formed. Chances are there. Again I am repeating my statement, chances are there. And if you come and ask me, sir, I will show you one region where temperatures are more than 27, please ask them to create one cyclone. तो वो कुछ फ्राइड राइस नहीं है ना, so मैं बोलूँ वो कर ले. So generally what happens is, as rest of the factors should also come into picture, है ना. So latent heat of condensation being the driving force, for that to occur, temperature should be more than 27 degrees centigrade. Got this point, everyone? అర్థమైందా ఏం చెప్పు? 27 డిగ్రీ టెంపరేచర్ కన్నా సీ సర్ఫేస్ టెంపరేచర్ ఒకవేళ 27 కన్నా ఎక్కువ ఉంటే అప్పుడే ఎవాపరేషన్ జరుగుతుంది. ఎవాపరేషన్ జరిగితే క్లౌడ్ ఫార్మేషన్, క్లౌడ్ ఫార్మేట్ అప్పుడు హీట్ ఏం రిలీజ్ అవుద్ది? ఆ లేటెంట్ హీట్ ఆఫ్ కండెన్సేషన్ ఏంటి? ఫర్ precipitation, okay. For tropical cyclone, tropical cyclone moves, it will be intensified under this. If this is not there, then entire cyclone wouldn't be there. Are you getting this point, everyone? Everyone clear? Now there is a concept called as landfall, very important one. Please focus on this. Generally tropical cyclones which are there, generally they are very stronger on sea or any water body. Tropical cyclones are very stronger on sea or any water body, okay, or any water body, because every time it will be attached with this evaporation and latent heat of condensation. Every time it is attached with evaporation and latent heat of condensation. Latent heat of condensation. Do remember this particular point. Very important. Very important. Now, this tropical cyclone generally under the influence. So, for example, tropical cyclone has been formed in Bay of Bengal. Okay. So, what is the zone of Bay of Bengal? What are the winds which would be moving in Bay of Bengal? Which trade winds? Yes. Northeast or southeast or southwest or northwest or straight north, south, central, east, west? Southeast. Jump from Burj Khalifa, which is there in Hyderabad. Northeastern trades. What are the winds which blow? Open the wind system. See, if I say jump from top floor, don't go and jump from there, okay? फिर मुझे पुलिस वाले पकड़ के लेके जाएंगे. He is the person who made, he induced her or him to commit suicide. फिर मुझे 3 महीने जेल में रहना पड़ेगा. वैसे भी अच्छा है जेल में, क्योंकि खाना कम मिलेगा तो फैट लॉस हो जाएगा. जेल से भी, जिम से भी अच्छा जेल है ना. Many people who go into jail and come back, they will become very slim. तो आपको weight loss करना है, जेल में जाइए, but you are not then fit for civil services. You go to jail as jailer, not as criminal. Yes, what are the winds which would be blowing? Northeastern trades. Northeast trade winds move in this regard, right? Yes or no? Here, southeastern trade winds, right? So, northeastern trade winds, they are moving from east to west. Everyone is agreeing with this? They are moving from east to west. It means as the cyclones are under the influence of northeast trade winds or trade winds, they will also have the journey from east to west. Yes or no? Originally, cyclone starts from east to west. East to west. So, for example, let's say this has been a cyclone which has been formed. It slowly started its journey from east to west. Once they enter the land, what will happen? Once they enter the land, what will happen? They are cut off from moisture, yes or no? When they are cut off from moisture, there is no latent heat of condensation, right? So, slowly cyclone starts reducing its intensity and slowly cyclone starts disappearing. So, the concept of weakening of cyclone once it enters the land is called as landfall. Okay. Cyclones, they reduce their intensity. They reduce their intensity once they enter the land. as they are cut off from moisture, as they are cut off from moisture, as they are cut off from moisture, this is called as landfall. This is called as landfall. Is this clear, everyone? So, tropical cyclones are stronger on water bodies, they are weaker on land. Tropical cyclone are stronger on water body, weaken on land. And tropical cyclones originate on seas. Clear? Hence, tropical cyclones are formed because of increase in sea surface temperatures. Tropical cyclones are formed because of increase in sea surface temperatures. Do remember this point, okay? Tropical cyclones are formed because of increase in sea surface temperatures. Got this point, everyone? Clear with this, everyone? Everyone? Now, and these tropical cyclones, which generally are formed on seas, okay, and once they enter the land, they start weakening up. Can I say that tropical cyclones are thermally induced because of increase in sea surface temperature as they are formed? Can I say tropical cyclones are thermally induced? Yes. Please do make a note of this point, like tropical cyclones are thermally induced. Thermal factor has came into picture. Okay, everyone is agreeing with this? First factor finished. First factor finished, everyone? Everyone, first factor finished? Okay, very good. Next, what is the second factor? Coriolis force. So, as everyone know, Coriolis force is the force which is created because of the rotation of earth. Because of rotation of earth, the force which would be created, that is called as Coriolis force. Now, this particular Coriolis force which is there, which is created because of rotation of earth, this makes influence on cyclone. How it makes an influence on cyclone is, this Coriolis force is responsible for the whirling motion of that cyclone. So, whenever you see the cyclone, you will be seeing about the closed air circulation, right? So, the closed air circulation which would be anti-clockwise in northern hemisphere, for that Coriolis force is responsible. Why, sir? What is the reason? Here I will take India as example and I will say, let us say, and just before this particular point, I want to share one more point to you. What do you think that tropical cyclones would be formed in which part of an year? If you say this answer, I will give you chocolate. 30 rupees का, उससे ज़्यादा मेरे पास budget नहीं है. Yes. In which part of an year, what do you think cyclones would come in which portion of an year? आंसर इज इन फ्रंट ऑफ यू. फिर से दिखा दो, रुको. आंसर आपके सामने है. आंसर आपके सामने. ऑडियंस बोल लूं? हाँ, थिंक. दिमाग जो अनयूज्ड हैं, यूज करिए. एक काम कर दो, 4-5 महीने और जोड़ दो उसमें. चले से द आंसर. तो आपको मुझे चॉकलेट देना पड़ेगा. 30 रुपीज़ का नहीं. आई वोंट ईट द चीप क्वालिटी. मिनिमम ऑफ 1000 रुपीज़. सो आंसर इज लेट summers. I will say the reason attached with it. In summers, lands are heated mostly. Okay. Once the slowly summer would be released, land radiates the heat back, but water under specific heat and mixing, water still have heat involved in it. So comparatively with that of land, during late summers and closer winters, early winters, waters will be having low pressures, and these particular low pressure formation will lead to evaporation and latent heat of condensation, and that will lead to formation of cyclone. September, October are the 2 months in India where you will be facing huge amount of cyclone, and people from coastal area of Andhra Pradesh, coastal regions of Tamil Nadu, coastal regions of Odisha and West Bengal should know it very effectively, because these are the months which would be hit with intense cyclones. Hudud, which has hit Andhra Pradesh in 2014, has hit in the month of October, somewhere near August or October. So the cyclone which has created huge amount of floods in Hyderabad, that was on October 13th. Recently also Hyderabad experienced a few precipitations, and Andhra Pradesh region, if you go and see, it has experienced intense rainfall, that is cyclonic rainfall. This is starting up of winter for us, because like now sea bodies are bit warmer comparatively to land. Already land sea differentiation topic I have explained you, temperature anomaly topic I have explained you, hope you remember that, right? So in that regard of consideration, during late summers, it doesn't mean that cyclones won't form in February, cyclones won't form in January, or cyclones won't form in rest of the seasons. But in India exclusively, during late summers, in the last week of August, September, October are the months which experiences intense cyclones. If you want, you can cross check the past cyclones which has hit. Andhra Pradesh has hit with Gulab, Jawad cyclone, like Andhra Pradesh has, Odisha has hit with huge cyclones, Toki cyclone, Amphan cyclone. All these cyclones occur somewhere near to September and October. Crossing beyond it also cyclone may form due to some abnormal condition. But that particular cyclone which would be formed in abnormal season, for that climatic change or global warming might be the reason. Yesterday I was speaking, right, during the introduction of cyclone, that you have to correlate this particular aspect with the environmental sense. So that environmental sense comes into picture over here. The abnormalness of the cyclone depends and varies from place to place, but normally this is a geophysical phenomena which will happen in September and October. In northern hemisphere in India, within the tropics. Southern hemisphere छोड़ो, वो अलग month है. These are late summers for us, and you will experience this. And this is also the phase when monsoons start returning back. I was speaking about the seasonalness. So when this particular monsoonal winds which are there, which are moving, let's say India का example ही ले लेता हूँ. In the month of September, ITCZ has shifted to equator. Hope you remember this, right? During September 23rd, ITCZ is located on equator, yes or no? So when ITCZ is located on equator during September, northeastern trade winds will move to equator, yes or no? But these northeastern trade winds, finally what should be present? What is pressure gradient force? The pressure difference which is being created between two locations is pressure gradient. So due to this pressure gradient, the force which would be exerted, that is called as pressure gradient force. That is called as pressure gradient force. Hope you remember it, right? Weekend पे ऐसा तो कुछ नहीं है ना? You remember it, right? So let's say winds are moving from subtropical high pressure belt to equatorial low pressure belt. But is there any necessity that it has to reach to equator for sure? If it is finding low pressure here itself in Bay of Bengal, do you think the winds will move until equator? Winds won't move. Winds won't move. Yes or no? So what winds would be doing? Winds, rather than moving towards equator, they attract towards this low pressure. So when they attract towards this low pressure, who will be helping? Winds generally tend to attract, but when the winds are attracting, these winds will attain that anti-clockwise direction. These winds coming in this direction will attain anti-clockwise direction, and this anti-clockwise direction is given by Coriolis force. Winds tend to attract towards low pressure, but when the winds are moving towards low pressure, the anti-clockwise circulation which happens, everyone know about anti-clockwise circulation, right? ये हो गया clockwise, ये हो गया anti-clockwise, है ना? फिर आप मुझे बाद में पूछेंगे what is anti-clockwise. So these winds generally tend to move towards low pressure in anti-clockwise direction, having low pressure at the center, surrounded by high pressures. Got this point, everyone? Clear, everyone? Now, so hence the winds which are moving, that is, they are attracted towards the low pressure under this Coriolis force, creating anti-clockwiseness in northern hemisphere, clockwiseness in southern hemisphere. Anti-clockwise in northern hemisphere, clockwise in southern hemisphere. Got this point, everyone? Clear? Everyone clear with this? Done? Now, and did I say this statement to you? Coriolis force is 0 at the equator, and moving towards the polar regions, Coriolis force increases. So when Coriolis force is 0 at the equator, do you think cyclones form? Equatorial regions would be having the sea surface temperatures more than 27 degree, that you know it, right? Equatorial region has more than 27 degree centigrade. Don't you know it? Yes or no? आपका लाइफ में कंफ्यूजन बहुत है. Equatorial region, heavy insolation, no winter season, sea surface temperatures will be more than 27. They have latent heat of condensation. That is the reason why equatorial regions are experiencing continuous precipitation. As I was discussing, equatorial region have daily rainfall, 4 p.m. rainfall, 4 से 5 तक compulsory rainfall. If you want to see rainfall, go to equator. Don't go and jump into Amazon basin, फिर वो निकल के आएगा, anaconda आ गया तो, and you say that ये तो अब बताए नहीं. So what generally happens in this zone, despite equatorial region has rest of the factors, as Coriolis force is 0 at the equator, cyclones are not formed at the equator. That's why the tropical cyclones distribution, I have said it between 8 to 20 degree north and south latitudes, 8 to 20 degree north and south latitudes. Please do mention this point, like the Coriolis force is absent near the equator. The Coriolis force is absent near the equator, hence tropical cyclones are not formed in this zone. Hence tropical cyclones are not formed in this zone. Hence tropical cyclones are not formed in this zone. Okay, clear everyone? Clear with this? Done. What is the next factor? Generally, pre-existing low pressure. What is pre-existing low pressure in this zone is, as I was discussing, that these northeastern trade winds generally tend to move back towards the equator. This is one cited example I am taking. It doesn't mean that it will only happen here. So, let us say generally for a tropical cyclone to be occurred, there are some phases whereby, for example, let us say this low pressure which is present in Bay of Bengal, let us assume in this way, this low pressure would be present every year. The low pressure which is present in Bay of Bengal, it is present every year. It does not mean that every year 100% cyclone should come. Is cyclone compulsion? That September 15th आ गया तो cyclone हाँ आ जाओ तुरंत मतलब टिकट लेके, ऐसा नहीं है ना. So cyclone, is it compulsion? No. Why it is not a compulsion is, see, low pressures are not enough for these particular winds to be attracted towards this zone. See, why the winds which are moving from high pressure to low pressure should attract towards this? They will not attract. But why there would be a possibility of attraction? Reason behind it is, when Bay of Bengal experiences bit more low pressures than equatorial region, then winds obviously start attracting towards this zone. So for that, let us say the insolation which falls on the water body or the heat which is trapped in the water body, that particular heat will warm up this particular body, and this low pressure should convert into a depression. We use this term called as depression. Depression is nothing but, wherever you find this particular word called as depression, that depression is nothing but extreme low pressure. Depression, wherever you see depression, or you will find one term like this, trough. Depression or trough, wherever you would be observing, depression or trough, wherever you would be observing, it is extreme low pressure. It is extreme low pressure. So, due to this pre-existing low pressure facility, we shall be having the winds which tends to attract towards this. Otherwise, winds, why do they attract towards this normal low pressures which are normally created? There should be some specific character, right? So, for depressions to be created, because cyclonic storms which would be created, the tropical cyclones which would be created, those particular tropical cyclones would be created in this regard of consideration, that wherever depressions would be created, then only cyclone would be created. Otherwise, cyclone starts originating and it disappears. That's why intensity of heat which would be growing. That's why I was speaking about more than 27 degrees centigrade. So if more than 27 degrees centigrade is there, obviously low pressures would be there, and more adding up of heat will result into conversion of low pressure into depression. So that depression attracts these particular winds towards the Bay of Bengal, creating tropical cyclonic storms. Okay. This is the third prerequisite condition which we have. Third prerequisite condition which we have. Got this point? Done? Done? Clear? What is the next factor? Yes, sir. Upper divergence. Generally, if I show you the structure of a tropical cyclone, I am showing you the side view, okay. Let us say this is the zone of water body from where the cyclone has originated. This is the zone of low pressure condition. So from this particular low pressure, we shall be having ascending air column. We shall be having ascending air column, obviously. This ascending air column will create cloud formation, and this release latent heat, and that latent heat will again heat up this particular air column, and this cloud moves upward. And I was speaking about the cumulonimbus formation, hope you remember it, right. So in this regard of cumulonimbus formation, whenever this wind is rising upwards, so it has to give some space to the next air column which is rising. Are you getting this point? Otherwise, what would happen is, this air column creating this cloud formation just will create precipitation over that zone of low pressure. It might be at the center of Bay of Bengal. But why does coastal Andhra Pradesh experiences rainfalls? Why does coastal Tamil Nadu regions experiences rainfalls? Reason is, these air columns reaching the saturation limits, they diverge outside. These upper air columns which would be there, they generally tend to diverge. And due to this particular divergence, the cloud formation which fits over there, this cloud formation will also be spreading. And when this particular cloud formation spreads, the central zone where you will be finding the tropical cyclone formation, there actually there won't be any rain. If you see, there is a structure. I will show you the structure, wait. See, there we are having raising of air column, and once the air column has raised, you will see the outflow of this particular wind. So, their winds are diverging, right. So, due to the divergence, what will happen at the central zone of the cyclone is, there air columns which has been raised and diverged there. Some of the air column diverges, some air column descends there itself, you can see here. Is it clear? So, due to this descendance, at the central zone of the tropical cyclone, you will be having formation of a vacuum like structure which is called as an eye. So, whenever you see the visualization of a tropical cyclone, there you shall be having the visualization of eye. So, at this central portion of eye, you will find more temperature, but there is no cloud formation and precipitation. So, wherever you will find eye, there is no rainfall which would be created. Do remember this point. There shall be no rainfall which exists. There shall be no rainfall which would exist at the eye formation. At the eye formation. At the eye formation. Okay. Done. Got this point clear, everyone? Clear with this, everyone? And this particular eye shall have different diameters. That depends upon the intensity of cyclone. I can't exactly say you that this is only the diameter where eye would be formed. But adjacent to this eye, we shall have eye wall like structures. You can see the adjacent eye wall like structures. So, slowly the rainfall starts in this particular eye wall like structures. Rainfall tends to start along this particular eye wall like structures. So, this is the zone which will have huge amount of intensification of rainfall. So, the eye walls which are present at the adjacent of eye, in that particular zone we would be experiencing maximum high intensity of rainfalls which would be created. This is the zone where we shall find exclusive intensity of rainfall, high intensity of rainfall, and slowly moving away from this particular eye wall towards the outer portion of the cyclone. Whenever you would be moving away, outside, away from that particular eye wall, you shall find a decrease in the rainfall. You shall find decrease in the rainfall. Got this point? So, reaching the outermost blocks of the cyclone. Now, Hyderabad is almost outer block of the cyclone. मतलब लगा कि बारिश गिरेगा, and we might have prepared all the stuff to eat just because of rainfall, but there was some abnormalness in the rainfall. Barish thoda gira, ruka. Because like Hyderabad is very interior. So that's why cyclonic storm rainfalls may not exactly hit Hyderabad, but we might have experienced with little bit of rainfall regarding with this. Little bit of rainfall regarding with this. Okay. Have you understood this eye? And one more point is the temperature of the eye of the cyclone is high when compared to its surroundings. Do mention this point. Already UPSC has asked this question. The temperature of eye is bit high when compared to the surroundings. When compared to the surroundings. So that's why upper air divergence is necessary. If upper air divergence doesn't happen, then the cyclonic formation is not possible. If the upper air divergence wouldn't happen, the cyclonic formation is not possible at all. Got this point? Yes.
When the eye has high temperature,
How
will the air descend?
Yes, because of high temperature, there shall be rising air column which is diverging. But the air column which is rising over here because of high temperature, entire winds won't get the possibility of diverging. And winds won't have the capability of moving upward still. So they themselves slowly what they would be doing is they start descending here itself. So once they ascend, they start descending at the eye of the tropical cyclone. In any intensified regions, not only this location, wherever there is huge intensity, it is the best example like whenever you lit on stove with a pan on it, after a few minutes how the heat waves start rising into the air, and after few minutes of time what will happen, the air which hits the wall again tends to descend back. So in this way the air column which would be present at the eye of the tropical cyclone which has high extreme, and these descending air columns again won't reach the surface, they almost reach the surface, again heat hits them back. Are you getting this point? That's why this zone, despite of no cloud formation and no precipitation, still have existing low pressures. So this is one interesting note of tropical cyclone. If you see the original image, you might have seen it or not. See, generally this descending happens from this zone. Again it doesn't reach this zone. So almost reaching this zone, it tends to rise upwards. See, this is the aspect how tropical storms are created. Like when water evaporates from the oceans. So when water evaporates from the oceans and comes in contact with a mass of cold air forming clouds, because colder conditions are required for cloud formation, slowly a column of low pressure develops a center, winds form around the column under Coriolis force, and a pressure in the central column weakens, creating eye of the tropical cyclone. The speed of the wind around it increases and a tropical cyclone is formed. So let's see the original picture if we find it. Already UPSC has asked the same question on it. See, generally cyclone occurs and appears in this way. The entire zone of closed air circulation having the whirling motion, but central portion you can see with clear skies. If you open weather report in the newspaper Hindu wala column, whenever there shall be cyclonic storm around the Bay of Bengal, you can see this particular picturization. This is very closer view which is been seen. So that central portion of eye of the tropical cyclone which is there, that is very important structure. So you might have seen this particular picture even. Cyclonic storms at the center, you are having the visualization, right? So here you are experiencing anti-clockwise northern hemisphere, anti-clockwise. So cyclones move in anti-clockwise way. Okay. So in this way, this upper air divergence is very necessary for tropical cyclone to exist. If upper air divergence is not happening, then tropical cyclone won't be existing as much. Clear with this, everyone? Everyone done? Done? What is the next factor? Low wind shear. Generally, as I was showing you the structure of this particular tropical cyclone, with upper air divergence, when we are showing this particular tropical cyclones, what will happen in this zone is, this is the wind system at lower surface, these are wind systems at certain height, these are the winds which are moving at highest heights. So when the winds would be moving at these particular highest heights, what will happen? What will happen? In this particular zone of wind systems, here winds would be having certain speed called as x. At this zone we will have the speed called as y. At this zone we have the speed called as z. So these particular wind systems which are moving at x, y and z column, which are moving at x, y and z, in this particular zone what will happen? We shall find differences in like speeds of winds. So this velocity of the winds at different levels in height is called as wind shear. So the velocity of winds at different heights are called as wind shears. They are called as wind shears. Are you getting this? And these particular wind shears which are present, they make the storm alive. Reason behind it is, the wind speeds which are there, they should be very limited. Here in this zone, the wind speeds which are there, the difference should be very less. If the difference is very high, let's say the winds which are present over here, they are moving at 20 km per hour. Here if the winds are moving at 100 km per hour, here if the winds are moving at 200 km per hour, the cyclone shape or the cyclone movement doesn't exist. Okay. So for this to happen, low wind shear is most important aspect which you have to focus upon. So the low wind shear is very, very important. So this particular low wind shear presence which is there, that makes the cyclone to be alive. Otherwise the cyclone disappears. So these 5 factors which are there, they are very, very important to us. Wherever you write an answer related with the tropical cyclone, please do mention this particular 5 factors. Wherever you write an answer, wherever you write it. Okay, clear? Now, you have understood the structure of the tropical cyclone also, right? Now, if you see the lifespan of tropical cyclone, as we have our lifespan is like kindergarten, primary school, secondary, higher secondary, graduation, post graduation, civil services failure, becoming a teacher, है ना? ये life cycle है. This is the life cycle. Everyone has life cycle. Earth has one life cycle. In that way, cyclone will also have its life cycle. and within this life cycle it has some stages like as we have. अपने life में you go further and you will realize this also. If you realize this, then at least call me and say that yes sir, this I have realized. This will happen post down the line of 1, 2 or 3 years. It might take different times for different people who are sitting in front of me, but जरूर कॉल करना. हाँ, जो मैं बोल रहा हूँ वो अगर आपको लगे 100% you call me and inform me so that मैं जो बोला वो सही हुआ तो my ego would be satisfied. Okay? Yes or no? Finally, it is ego which has to win around us. Your life is going to change. I don't know when you have started your UPSC preparation or when you have did this pre-primary preparation. Post down the line, your life will be in this way. Earlier तो ये बोलते थे ना like pre-married life, post-married life अलग है. But अभी ऐसा नहीं है. You will feel that pre-UPSC life and post-UPSC life. 100%, no doubt at all. No doubt at all. You will find this. You will find this. And you will find some biggest change has happened without knowingly. In your life, some biggest change has happened that might take 1 year, 2 years, 3 years down the line, but you will confirm realize this. Either you might realize post selection, or you might realize during mains preparation, or you might realize at any certain point of time. Okay. Now, in this way, the lifespan of cyclone is also in this way. So, within this, it has 5 stages. 5 stages. Stage number 1. Birth, juvenile, premature, mature, and dissipation. And dissipation phase. Okay. Which stage you are most likely to love in these 5? Premature, mature stage. Mature stage comes when you reach 30 years of age. Juvenile, मतलब कुछ भी करो चल जाता है ना. You beat someone, you become a thief. Birth में तो like actually the golden days of our life will happen in schools. 6th to 10th. Many one-side love stories. है ना, many rejections. जो 10 रुपए है हमारे पास उसमें ही खुश. चीटोस ले लिया, 2 अपना दोस्त को दे दिया, 2 आप खा लिए. नहीं तो 5 रुपए का डेयरी मिल्क 2 ले लिए, एक गर्लफ्रेंड को दिए, एक हम खा लिए. Sharing the boxes in the lunch. Waiting for the Republic Day events like for games. मतलब पूरा prepared. Yes, this time we are going to win the cup. Playing Coco, Kabaddi, है ना, chess, caroms, showing their talents, quiz competitions in the schools, going to excursions, like with friends, fully enjoying. Annual day तो हर स्कूल में नहीं रहता है. It is okay, but annual day is some part of thing which happens in 9th and 10th mostly. They enjoy a lot. Because 6th 7th वाले को तो उतना ज़्यादा पता नहीं है. 9th 10th में जो love stories हैं, है ना, when these 2 couples go on to the stage and dance for one song, then that is huge amount of appreciation. Then teachers come to know that they are couple and teacher starts questioning them, interrogating them, है ना, bunking, teacher sending us out of the class, throwing our books outside. So waiting for Dasara holidays of quarterly examinations and Pongal holidays of half-yearly examinations. So these days will not ever come in your life. अभी जो आने वाला है UPSC, this is more interesting than that stage only when you crack. It will be interesting for others when you fail. It will be interesting for you. The best part of your life you will enjoy once you crack UPSC is the 6 months before you go to Labasna. From the day the result comes and the day when you enter Labasna in Mussoorie, the 6 months span of time, आप जो मांगे वो हो जाएगा. Today I would like to have some butter chicken from Taj Krishna. Yes. Today I love to have some water, mango juice which comes from Alfonso mango of Ratnagiri. Yes. I love to have some delicious orange juice from Nagpur oranges. I love to have rasgulla from Kolkata. आ जाएगा. Anything, whatever prayer you ask, that will come. Many people will take your pictures, share on their walls of Facebook, greeting you. Some people tend to take your autograph even. Your signature will become an autograph then. Some people forcefully wanted to ask some silly questions to you, and many institutes offer good sum of amount just keeping your photograph on their walls. लाखों रुपए दे देंगे. Just they will use your photograph. 2-3 लाख आराम से. एक फोटोग्राफ पासपोर्ट साइज का 10 रुपए का कीमत 2 लाख बढ़ जाएंगे. Your account में, your account will be filled with 20-30 lakh rupees immediately within that 6 months. घर में तब जो पूछे वो बनेगा. Today I love to have some toasted bread. अपना घर में टोस्टर नहीं रहेगा, बट फिर टोस्टर आ जाएगा, है ना. You tend to use Bisleri water when compared to normal water. And already, who are your friends? They become already associate PAs and security guards to you. They will try to be very closer to you, and your ex-girlfriends and boyfriends tend to text you. The most blossom moment. जब they congratulate you, है ना, saying it was my mistake, I left you. वो blossom moments बहुत है. The 6 months you will enjoy like zenith. Then starts the responsibilities. Okay. So within this particular 5 stages, the most interesting and important stage is maturity phase, which you have to remember. But वैसे I will say all the stages. You remember just mature phase. Okay. So generally, birth of the cyclone will take place when low pressure converts into depression. Whenever the low pressure converts into depression, that stage is considered as birth phase. No rainfall, nothing, no storm, no heavy wind, nothing will happen. You even don't know that birth of a cyclone has happened. Okay. In the juvenile stage, slowly winds start attracting towards the depression. In juvenile stage, winds slowly starts attracting towards the depression. Do you think rainfall will occur? No, rainfall doesn't occur. And in premature phase, slowly you will find scattered winds and scattered cloud formations. In premature phase, you will find scattered winds and scattered cloud formations. Scattered winds and scattered cloud formations with little precipitations. Okay. So slight rainfall, nothing a big issue over here. Coming to mature phase, we shall find intensified wind movement Winds move with high intensity. Winds move with high intensity. And dark dense cloud formation. Dark dense cloud formation. Dark dense cloud formation with intense precipitation. With lightning and thunderstorms. With lightning and thunderstorms. With lightning and thunderstorms. Okay. And if you see, for example, if cyclone has been formed, cyclone might hit the land in premature phase, mature phase and dissipation phase. Cyclone might hit in any of these three phases. If cyclone hits in premature phase, no destruction. If the cyclone hits in maturity phase, then gaye. Intense rainfall, huge amount of gusty winds will hit. And if cyclone hits in dissipation phase, then also no destruction. So, in dissipation phase, slowly winds move away. In dissipation phase, slowly the winds would be moving away. With reductions in rainfalls. With reductions in rainfalls and cloud formations. With reductions in rainfalls and cloud formations. Okay, got this point clear, everyone? Done? Done? Now, maturity phase, maturity phase. Normal clouds are formed in premature phase and dissipation. Cumulonimbus clouds in maturity phase. So, this intensified rainfalls which are there, those intensified rainfalls will happen in mature phase. That is why if the cyclone travels for longer distance, then they will reach in dissipation phase. So, there shall be no heavy rainfalls. That is why cyclones in India which are created on Arabian Sea, they move up to Central Asia, Asia. So, traveling these longer distances, they will reach dissipation phase. But if you see Bay of Bengal, immediately they form, they hit the coast. That is why cyclones which are formed in Bay of Bengal are much more stronger when compared to Arabian Sea. Got this point clear? Life cycle clear? Everyone? Done? We have two more aspects in this, like path of tropical cyclones and naming of the tropical cyclones and consequences of tropical cyclones, that we will finish in the next class along with the temperate cyclones and its comparison. Done. So, tomorrow we may get a long session, 10 to 1. So, that will make some sense of finishing of climatology tomorrow. Then we can finish off oceanography. Oceanography is very cute and short. So, it will enter your mind very easily. Only thing is bit facts would be there which you have to remember. Done. Rest we shall continue with the next lecture. Thank you.